Every Monday morning at 9:00 a.m. I completed the ritual, a $700 transfer to my parents. It wasn't an act of love, it was a non-negotiable insurance policy against their criticism, a quiet payment for peace that never materialized. I'd sit at my kitchen table, my daughter Ava's colourful crayon drawings taped above the bills, and watch the payment sent confirmation blink on my screen like a timer counting down to my next disappointment. Last Saturday the timer ran out. They skipped Ava's 7th birthday party. No message, no call, just a gaping, painful absence. The small, second-hand bouncy castle stood deflated in the yard, a casualty of their indifference. Ava, in her favourite pink dress, sat on the porch steps, staring down the road until the sun dipped below the trees, whispering, maybe they forgot. That night my control broke. I found the text from my mother, sent earlier that day, tell Ava happy birthday from us. That was the entirety of their effort. I called my father. His voice when he answered was not cold or contemptuous, but simply bored and dismissive. Why didn't you come? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. We had better things to do, Penelope. The traffic is awful across town. Ava made you a card, I insisted, a final desperate offering. He scoffed, a dry, cutting sound. Your life choices, including your child, are not our priority. A single phrase, spoken with utter detachment, did what 8 months of financial dependence never could. It didn't make me cry or argue, it made me stone cold. My hands didn't tremble, they were unnaturally steady. I didn't say goodbye, I hung up. I walked straight to my bank app and found the recurring transfer. It took less than a minute to delete the $700 weekly payment. I felt the strange, clean release of a snapped wire. It was done. Exactly 40 minutes later, my mother's name flashed on my screen. The message read, "Need you to order us Chinese. Your father says we are out of food." They hadn't called to apologize, to check on their granddaughter, or to express anything other than a need for takeout. 40 minutes. That's how long it took them to notice the absence of my money, not the absence of me. I looked at the text, then at the photo of Ava taped to the fridge, her bright, uncomplicated smile. I locked my phone and left the message unread. The silence was the most immediate change. The following morning, I received a frantic call from my parents' landlord, Richard. "Ms. Hayes, the rent didn't come through," he stated, sounding genuinely confused. "They told me you were managing their accounts." I replied, the new finality in my voice surprising me. "I am not anymore." Later, my brother Ryan called. "Penelope, what did you do? Mom says you've gone crazy and cut them off." "I did," I admitted. A long pause followed. Then Ryan's voice, rough with relief, said, "It's about time, I've been giving them money too." "What?" "Yeah, they told me you were struggling, so I covered the smaller stuff, the gas, the internet. They played us both, Pen. They kept us paying rent on their guilt." The realization hit me harder than my father's cruel sentence. Not only had they weaponized my guilt, but they had also created an entire financial system based on lies and family division. 2 days later, the real consequence arrived. My father, in a spectacular attempt to seize control of the narrative, went live on social media. The video was titled, "The Truth About Our Daughter." I watched numbly as he sat next to my mother, explaining how I had a spending problem and was force-feeding them money for years, and was now making up lies because they refused to be controlled. He then held up a printed photograph of Ava from the party, her glittery dress catching the light. He looked directly into the camera and for the second time delivered the words that had broken me. "This child does not exist to us." I closed the video immediately. The reaction from our small community was instantaneous and brutal. Comments flooded the page. Half were pity, but the other half were pure, unadulterated disgust. Who says that about their own grandchild? They are toxic, praying for Penelope. I was advised by Ryan not to comment. "Let them choke on their own words," he texted, and so I stayed silent. The next afternoon, the phone rang. It was my cousin Lauren, her voice shaking with righteous anger. "They showed up at Aunt Virginia's family reunion uninvited. They're trying to cry to the relatives." An hour later, a video clip appeared on the town's social media page. It was grainy footage from the reunion. My mother, tears welling, was attempting to garner sympathy when Lauren's voice cut through the noise. She was holding her phone, volume up. "Before or after you said her kid doesn't exist?" Lauren demanded. The audio from my father's live video, booming from Lauren's speaker, filled the quiet backyard. "Your child means nothing to us." Uncle James, the patriarch of the family, rose slowly. If that's how you treat your granddaughter, you don't belong here. No one comforted them. They left in utter silence, defeated not by an argument, but by the echo of their own cruelty. I watched the clip and laughed, a sound that was quiet, shaking, and profoundly free. I hadn't had to lift a finger. The truth had handled itself. That night, as I tucked Ava into bed, the room was quiet. I bent down and kissed her forehead. "You're everything," I whispered, not to her, but to the ghost of my old, guilt-ridden self. The money was gone. The toxic noise was gone. I had chosen freedom. And that simple, final choice was the loudest revenge I could ever give.